Joining us now, she's become a regular on this show. We've been following her. We've had her on. I remember since the first time she came on the show, and we had her on when she threw the first ever a perfect game in LSU softball history. She was a standout pitcher there. And then we followed her all the way, of course, to her coaching career, which now is currently in North Texas, where she was the new assistant coach, was named in June. I speak of her good friend Maribeth Gorsuch joining us here on In the Circle on D1 Softball. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I enjoy talking about the school that I'm at and getting to talk to you a little bit about the program in softball. So I'm excited to be here.
Well, let's talk about your move to North Texas. I know it's a little bit closer to home, which I know is a factor in the decision, but tell us about how it came about where you made the move here to North Texas and joined Coach Rodney DeLong and his coaching staff.
I always kind of eventually wanted to get back closer to home. There was never really a timeline and on, when and the time of my career when I wanted to come back. But, Coach DeLong was looking for a pitching coach this year, and he actually reached out to me a couple years ago, and I wasn't necessarily ready to make the move. I was loving Grand Canyon, and I liked where I was at. And so when he reached out to me again, I just felt like it was kind of that time to make the move and get back closer to my family. I thought it was kind of I don't want to say no again because it's just an opportunity for growth. And I think that being close to home is important to me. And so, I'm 20 minutes away from Louisville, which is where I was born and raised. And so both my mom and my brothers still live there. My grandparents live in Garland, so I'm only like 45 minutes from them, and they've never got to watch me coach before, so they're gonna get to watch me coach. Yep. So I'm excited to be back, and I'm loving it so far. I've got to meet a lot of the girls, and being around Coach DeLong and Coach Gwen. Jason Gwen is the other assistant. They've been really fun to work with this summer, and we've got to recruit together. So I'm enjoying it so far. Love living it back close to home. I have my own apartment in Denton, but it's not too bad of a drive to get to Louisville.
I did not realize your family has never seen you coach.
So my mom has,
Okay,
but my brother hasn't, and neither have my grandparents. They've seen me play, but never coach. So
guess they didn't want to make the track out west.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's a little far.
So you mentioned obviously Coach DeLong. Had you known Coach DeLong for a while? Was it how did you two connect? Because it's one thing you want to get closer to home, and you mentioned he reached out, before, and but you got to be also comfortable with the coach you're working for. So I'm curious that have you crossed paths in conventions? Did you, or is now are you getting to know him now?
So actually it was probably 2019, his first year at UNT. Um, my dad coached a travel ball team back in 2019, and they were doing a team camp at UNT, and I had come up there, and that's when I met Coach DeLong, and he actually talked to me about when I was, if I were wanted to get into coaching, and obviously I was interested in coaching. I've always wanted to coach. And so I told him that that's a possibility in coaching. And he, talked to me about possibly being a GA at UNT or a volunteer. And so that was always in the back of my mind. And so we kind of have always kept track, when we see each other recruiting and stuff. And then Coach Hayes, who was, at Grand Canyon, his son actually worked at UNT and worked for Coach DeLong last year. So we talked to Hunter and we talked to Rodney throughout the year, just kept up with each other. So
So obviously it's an easy decision coming closer to home. That's the
yeah,
easy part. I would imagine
right.
though the hardest part of all this was leaving Grand Canyon because I know we spoke last year. It
Definitely.
was a big opportunity, big break, ton of success, which we'll talk about. But how hard was it to leave Coach Hayes in Grand Canyon?
Yeah, it was definitely really hard. Coach Hayes and we still have a good relationship. We still talk. We still have our phone calls and we'll send texts every now and then. But it was definitely hard. I loved Arizona. I love Grand Canyon. The administration and the school is awesome. I love the girls. That was probably top two toughest things obviously saying bye to Coach Hayes and Sandra Wente and Sydney, but It was also saying it was hard saying bye to the girls because there's Megan Golden and Emily Darwin, and those two are still there, and so and those are two kids that, I just grew really close with and I loved coaching them. And so they're going to have a really good year this year. They're both seniors. But yeah, it was definitely hard leaving Phoenix and leaving Grand Canyon just because that's where I started my career. Coach Hayes gave me a really awesome opportunity out of college. And so I'm super thankful for that. And, I definitely miss Coach Hayes. I definitely miss Grand Canyon, but I'm also excited to be here at UNT and I'm excited to be back close to my family. So,
Did it make it easier in that you leave as the last year, the greatest year in program history, winning I think 50 games, getting to a regional final? I remember we talked a year ago. You had knocked off UCLA, that historical win the year prior, but you didn't win another game in that regional. This year, you didn't. You go to all the way to the regional final. I know you disappointed to lose to UCLA, but still another big stepping stone for that program. Did that make it easier to leave on a historical note like that?
not necessarily easier, because, the way I think I always just want to, it was cool that we beat UCLA the year before, and then last year we made it to the regional final, but now it's getting out of the regional. So definitely not, it didn't make it easier because there's always wanting to be better than the year you were before. And, winning a regional is the next step. Um, but it was a really cool, thing to be a part of that team and to be a part of the program that took that, you know, um, be a part of the year that took the program to new heights is really cool. And I mean, we won 50 games, and that's, not a lot of teams do that. And so it was a special team. It was a special year, and making the regional final, even though it's not the result we wanted, was really cool. It was a really cool experience. It was a really cool moment.
So let's talk now. You arrive at North Texas. How do you now? How is it going? Getting to know the pitchers you're inheriting, and that building that relationship process here, starting from fresh. How can take us through that process now in your philosophy and getting to know your pitchers?
Yeah, so I have a staff of 7 this year, which I'm really excited about. My lone senior, her name is Skylar Savage. She's from Van, Texas. She's 6'2". I'm sure you know who she is. The cool thing about Skylar is I actually coached Skylar back in, I want to say it was 2019 when she was in travel ball. And she was with Glory. So I got to work with her a little bit. This was before she was committed to UNT, and this was before her recruiting. And so I got to work with her. She is a joy to be around. She's a competitor. She's a great kid. So I get to work with her again. She's going to be the leader of our staff. She's our oldest kid, most experienced. So I'm really excited to get to coach her last year. We had a good relationship when I coached her in travel ball. So she's one that's, she's going to have a good year, and I'm excited to work with her. And then we have Mackenzie Childers. She is a junior. She throws really hard. She's another kid that's going to do big things for our program. And then we have Annika Anderson. She is a transfer from Tulsa. She's a sophomore, and she has a lot of innings under her belt. She pitched a lot for Tulsa and had a really good year last year. And so I'm excited to watch her, grow and develop and continue to do big things. And then we have 3 really talented freshmen: Gracie Maloney, who's from Michigan; Shelby Buffington, she's from Franklin, Tennessee; and then Cadence Gaddis, she's from McKinney, Texas. And then we have our sophomore, Kaylee Smith. She's a drop ball kid. She was a redshirt. So I've got to meet all of them, and they're an awesome group. I'm really excited about, we have a group of 4, upperclassmen that have done it before, that have the experience, and then we have a really talented freshman class, and those 3 freshman pitchers their ceilings are super high. Gracie Maloney, she's a 6-foot kid. She's strong, and her ceiling's way up there. Shelby Buffington, she's another 5'11", heavy drop ball kid that I'm really excited to work with. She has a really high ceiling. So I think my pitching staff's gonna be really good this year. They can only get better, and they will get better. And I know UNT last year, they only had, 4 arms, and that's where they struggled a little bit. And so having 7 arms this year and getting to, have those returners and then also have the three freshmen that they get to learn from those upperclassmen is really cool. I think to have Gracie, Shelby, and Cadence learn from someone like Skylar her in her last year is really cool for them. I don't think they know that right now, but Skylar, she's a competitor, she's a hard worker, she wants to be the best. And so they're going to get to see that from Skylar and then be able to take what they learned from her year one. And once she graduates, they take the reins on that. So our staff's going to be good. I'm excited about it. It's a great group of girls. You'll see a lot of good things from the UNT pitching staff this year.
I'm excited. I'm ready to go. Let's get the
I
season going
know,
there.
right?
I'm curious though, because obviously you've done your homework on them in just a short period of time. When you arrive, do you obviously you reach out to them and you get to talk to them, but
Mhm.
do you watch tape from them from last year? Do you
Oh
want
yeah.
Okay, so give me a breakdown of how you start learning about them, other than obviously you get to talk to them and get a feel for them, but you
Yep.
also watch a lot of tape. Give me through that process and how much do you adapt to what they've been doing versus, hey, I can tweak this and this.
Yep. So, with Hunter Hayes working at UNT last year, at Grand Canyon, they watched us and we watched them a little bit. So I got to watch, Skylar and Mac throw a little bit. But I also went back and watched some film on them. Once I decided I was coming to UNT to be the pitching coach, I kind of did my research. Annika Anderson's another one I went on. We have synergy, so I went on and watched some film, and then the three freshmen I got to watch them live this summer because they all play travel ball. So I kind of take what I see on film, and I already have a kind of a plan written out for each one, how each one can get better, and um, if that's mechanically, if that's speed wise, if that's just being able to locate the ball, break points, etc. And so I kind of already did my homework on them, did my research. And so I kind of have a plan going into this next. We actually start next Wednesday. So I have a plan going into next Wednesday. I kind of have an idea, but we'll do our, fall evaluations. I'll take what I get there and I'll get their speed, RPMs, do some location stuff and then kind of go from there and make an even more detailed plan based off what I see in person, especially with the returners.
That's pretty impressive.
Thing.
How are you a different pitching coach today than you were, say, maybe your first or second year at Grand Canyon?
Yeah, so I think I honestly, it's my confidence. I'm a lot more confident in who I am as a pitching coach and the things that I teach. I think my first year, I wasn't, just being a young coach, not having any experience in coaching college athletes. So that was like the biggest thing, being gaining confidence, trusting myself, trusting what I'm saying. That's the biggest thing. And I think from year one to now, I can confidently say, I feel like I do my research. I'm constantly learning. I love to learn new things about pitching. I love to watch videos and talk to other pitching coaches and, pick their brains, especially the experienced ones. So having someone like Beth around is really cool because I can go to her and pick her brain. And so I think that's just the biggest thing, my confidence, my ability to, be outwardly spoken about things that maybe I wasn't outwardly spoken about year one because I was a little more timid. So just the confidence part of it and trusting myself, trusting what I'm teaching. Because when I do that, my girls have confidence in me and they trust me even more. So,
What's the most common question you've gotten from your pitchers since you've arrived?
hmm. Honestly, no questions just yet. I've gotten here and there, but no like big questions that I can think of off the top of
More
my head.
listeners, so they're more listening so far, huh?
Yes,
Okay.
they are. They're good listeners. That's one thing I noticed about them. Not too many questions. I think I get questions like, when's my physical or something like that. But other than that, I haven't
I've
gotten too
always,
many.
I only asked that because I was curious if they would bring up, hey, what was your playing days like? What did things like that? I'm always fascinated on the connection because you just were on the field, you played a few years,
Mhm.
and so there's that maybe relatability. So I was always curious if players they're aware of your resume. So I'm just curious, when do they feel confident in bringing it up?
Yeah, they definitely will at some point. I know, like at Grand Canyon, I always talked a lot about like even if they weren't asking me questions. I think the cool part is I can, because I am pretty fresh out of college, I can, confidently, be in their shoes. And when they ask me questions, they trust what I'm saying because they know I get it. And so that is the cool part about it, is that I did just get done playing. And I do have the ability to, bring that up and for them to ask me questions.
What's one thing about this job that you've learned that you've had to go back to Coach Torina and say, you know, I understand now why you did what you did when I played, even if I didn't like it.
Let's see. I guess the patience part of it,
Yeah.
I did not know that I knew it was going to take patience, obviously, but just being able to have patience and be able to lead and help grow a group of, female athletes. I think that's been the biggest learning part of it, because sometimes I can, get frustrated or my patience runs thin. And so as I've matured, I've definitely grown a lot of patience and learned to, give more grace to them, because I do understand what it's like being a college athlete and a pitcher at that.
You mentioned all the deep arms you have on the staff. That's something you've kind of gotten experienced with as a player.
Yeah.
Coach Torina went by staffs. I'll never
Hmm.
forget how she just threw you in there as a freshman, in conference marquee games and things like that.
Yeah.
And even in Grand Canyon, we talked about your philosophy you kind of gained from that to build a deep staff to help
Right.
that success at Grand. So does that help you in that you've had experience already with all having a lot of arms like you will here at UNT?
Yeah, absolutely. Now that I know, because my first year, I think I had a staff of 5. Last year, I had a staff of 8, and this year I'll have a staff of 7. So I kind of tell people I'm a little bit spoiled in my pitcher numbers. I haven't ever had a staff less than 5, and so pitching by committee is important to me. I think that to beat the best teams, to beat the top teams, sometimes you got to pitch by committee. It's not just one arm, two arms. And so I love having a big staff. I know what it's like to have a big staff. I know how to manage a big staff. My bullpens, I don't do more than 2 girls at a time. So bullpens will be 4.5 hours long, and 45 minutes to an hour each pen, where I get to do a lot of one-on-one work with each girl. And so now that I know what that's like, I've done it the last 2 years. I love doing it that way. I think you'll have a lot of success when you pitch by committee, especially beating those top teams.
I'm glad you kind of mentioned that. I was going to mention about when you have so many arms, how do you spend time with them? Where they're all different personalities, different styles of pitchers. As a coach, do you have to be efficient in that regard and kind of set a certain time for each pitcher? And because you have to listen to all of them because they're not all the same.
Right. Yeah, definitely. It definitely takes some planning. It takes sitting down and, I'll do 2 pitchers at a time with one catcher, and then we'll have a 9 spot. And in the 9 spot, we'll do some mechanical stuff. And I'm not super cookie cutter. Not everyone has to do the exact same thing. I do have my beliefs when it comes to mechanics and whatnot, but I adjust based off the pitcher. And so doing the bullpens the way I do it, I can really zone in and focus on each girl, and we can, talk pitching, and we can talk about mechanics, and we can really focus on how they can get better. And so when you do it in large groups, when you have large staffs, it's a little bit tougher. And so I've definitely learned how to manage a large staff. And for the preseason, our fall individuals, we'll just do, Monday through Friday, we'll do a live day. We'll do a couple live days, and then the other days we'll do some pin work where it's just 2 at a time. And then when we get into team practices, we can I'll still do 2 at a time, but we can have longer bullpens. We can, do a lot more live stuff on the field. So.
How much of your coaching style and preparation that you've described here, how much of that did you learn from Beth? But how much of that did you learn on your own because you're your own person? You have your
Mhm.
own personality, you have your own style. How much of it is that balancing that? Because how much of that was from, hey, I learned that from Coach Torina and spending all that time in the bullpen as a player, but how much of that did you figure it out on your own?
Yeah, a little bit 50-50. I've taken a lot that I've learned from Beth and that I've done the drills and the mindset and all that stuff. And then again, so my first year, I kind of, that's all I had to hang on to. And now as the years have gone by and now I'm going into year 4, I can take what, the things that I've learned from her and the things that I've also, done myself and created myself and combining those two together. It's been really cool. And like I said earlier, it's awesome having Beth and being able to talk to her and still pick her brain about a lot of things. But I definitely think I've taken a lot of drill work that I've done at LSU and put it into my style of pitching and which is very similar to Beth's and been able to make it my own. And I think that's where the confidence piece comes in is where I now have confidence in the things that I believe in and that I teach and take the things that she's taught me and the things that she believes in and combine them together, that gives you confidence, that helps you trust yourself. So
How do you feel you would coach yourself? Like if I could put it in the room where Coach Gorsuch is coaching Maribeth Gorsuch to be young pitcher, how would that be? Are you do you think Coach Gorsuch is a different person now than Maribeth Gorsuch the pitcher? Are you similar? Are you still similar enough where you all be on the same page? How would that be?
yeah, I think Maribeth Gorsuch at LSU was a little immature at times, and I would have coached her the exact way Beth coached me, which she'd get on my butt sometimes, but she would also love me, and she would have to be patient with me a lot. So I think I would coach myself the exact same way Beth would have coached me, which was, some tough love, which is exactly what I needed at that time in my life. And so I probably would have done the exact same thing. Rip myself a new one every now and again and kept it going.
I would have never expected you for like saying immature. You were always fantastic when we talked during your LSU days. So you done a good job on that front. What was your reaction last year when you heard that Coach Torino became the all-time winningest coach at LSU? They're passing Coach Gerard.
You know what? I wasn't surprised at all because she is, such a successful coach. I'm proud of her and the things that she's doing, and she's only getting better. And the kids that she's bringing in, her team is going to be really good this year, and they have a really good young arm. And so to see that was really cool, and to know that I was a part of just a small section of those wins is really cool. And to be able to play for Coach Beth is definitely something that I'm thankful for, that I have learned so much from her and my experience there at LSU. So I'm proud of her. I was not shocked at all because she is all about success. She knows what she's doing, and she's only going to get more wins from here.
How much do you two communicate during a season? I mean, it's a busy time. You're both coaching different, but at the same time, like I know she keeps track of all the alums and how they're doing. I would imagine she gives you a nod there, make when you win get close to a regional final there, basically
Mhm.
things like that. Do you communicate
Yeah.
during the year, or is it more of an off-season communication?
Yeah, we communicate during the year too. When, especially when they have big wins, I shoot her a text, congratulations, big win, keep going, and vice versa. So we communicate a little bit during the year, especially after big wins. And even after some tough losses, I'll shoot her a text, it's okay, keep your head up, just, keep it moving next game. And so, we're not calling each other, having long drawn out conversations, but it's just, both of us there checking in on each other, giving us reassurance that we're there and we're watching and we're supporting each other.
What's your thoughts on the American Conference, a league that's arguably going to be a top five, top six league this year? It was an exciting race last year. UNT was in the mix with Charlotte and FAU. What's your thoughts on being in the American now, a league that has been proven to be a multi-bid league in the historically?
Yeah, I think the American's a tough conference. I think if you look at all the teams that are in the American, they've done big things in the postseason. And we're only continuing to get better. You have teams like Charlotte and Wichita State and FAU, like you mentioned, and um, USF, teams like that. And so it's a tough conference. I'm excited to be a part of it now. I think our team's going to be really good this year. I think our pitching staff's going to be able to compete against anybody and everybody. We just kind of finalized our schedule, and we've got some tough, non-conference games on there that I'm excited about as well, that I think that our team is going to be ready for, and I think our pitchers are going to handle well, and so fingers crossed, of course. So yeah, I think the American's a good conference. I think our non-conference schedule's tough, and so it's gonna be a fun year, and I'm excited to get into this to another conference and see what it's like.
Do you sense that kind of the similar motivation from the program there at UNT? Because a couple of years ago they were in a regional final in
Mhm.
Stillwater, so I would imagine there's that common goal. You were a year ago in a regional final there. They're trying to get that first ever regional win, get to a super, take that next big step
Yeah.
as a mid major. Do you see those similarities?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this program and the athletes that we have on this team, I think we can, eventually win a regional. And I hope that's going to be this year. But I think that this team and this program has a chance to to get to a regional, to win a regional. I think we have a chance to win the conference. It's definitely not going to be easy because the competition we're playing is not easy, but we definitely have the chance to do it.
So let's for the UNT fans that are going to get to watch your team, your pitchers pitch this year. What would you tell the fans about your style of coaching and maybe that influence you will have on the pitching staff?
Yeah, I would say my style of coaching is I'm going to push the girls. I'm going to help them, grow on and off the field. I'm going to be the best possible influence on them that I can be. But I'm also, I'm gonna give them a little bit of tough love. I'm gonna be hard on them, but I'm gonna, put my arm around them every now and again and love them, and help them, like I said, grow off the field and, become good women of society once they graduate. And so I would just tell the fans that, be ready for a good year. And I'm gonna be tough on them. I'm gonna push them to be the best that they can possibly be, and while also loving them and helping them get through life, because at the end of the day, it's just softball. Um, and we have, a life outside of softball. Once we graduate and move on from softball, we have to go be productive women in society. And so that's the ultimate goal, when it comes to being a coach, is being able to coach them on the field and push them to be the best that they can be, and then also love them and help them grow, and watch them just flourish into young women.
Fantastic. That's a great answer. My last question to you before I let you go. Between now and then, of course, fall ball will get going around the corner and then the 2025 season. What are some of the things you're going to work on with your pitchers that are going to be key to get them ready for the season come February?
Yeah, so we'll start from the ground up. Week one will just be about doing some evaluations and doing some fastball stuff. And then week by week, we'll work a little bit more mechanically in the fall. And then by week 2 or 3, we'll get into some live at bats for individuals, which will prep them to see those when we start playing teams for fall ball. I know we have Baylor. We have TW, we have some good JUCOs, McLennan and Grayson, they're on the schedule. And so we have a good fall ball schedule that I think will also prep them. And then when they come back January 6th for their preseason practice, towards the end of the fall, we'll do some break points and a lot of batter work. But then when we get back from the spring, we'll hit it hard, and we'll do a lot of live at bats. We'll talk about, sequencing, and do a lot more breakpoint stuff. It'll be where the fall is more mechanically focused. The spring will be mechanically focused as well, but it's mainly going to be about, taking the mechanics and putting it into the game and competing at the end of the day, being able to compete against anybody. And so that's kind of my plan. Work from the ground up, start with fastball and mechanics, and then by the time we get to February 8th, our first game, they should be ready to rock.
And you'll have a lot of family members and friends in the stands there. Big demand. I mean, big demands for now for tickets. I mean, you're
I
gonna have to deal with
know.
that now.
I know it's going to be exciting. I think the most I've had at a game was like my best friend and my mom came one time. So I'm going to have my grandparents and my mom and my brothers. And so I'm really excited. I'm being at UNT. It's an honor to be here just because this is home for me, and so this is not just another school I'm coaching at. I really take pride in being here, and I love it here already. And so our AD Jared Mosley, he's awesome. I got to meet him. He does a lot of great things for the athletics program, and he's doing a lot of great things for softball. And so this program is only going to get better. And Coach DeLong, he's done a great job. So, like I said, I'm excited to be here and be a part of this
Well,
team and this school.
and I'm excited that you're there. I'm excited because I know that you're closer to home. That's a big deal. That was
Mhm.
certainly a goal at some point. You can't think the coaching,
Right,
circles and how that works out, but it's worked out to
right.
this point. So I'm excited for you, and I thought of you when you saw you made the move, and wanted to get you on to kind of talk about it. And congrats on the move. Good luck as we get going here soon, the class of fall ball and everything like that. And thanks for always talking to us. We love having you on every year as we possibly can, and talking to you about your career, but obviously as each chapter moves on. But look forward to maybe crossing paths during the season. But
Yeah.
thanks for taking the time for always talking to us here on In the Circle D1 Softball.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.